Right now it's time for the big story. So consumer and business confidence in Jamaica improved slightly in the second quarter of 2025, driven primarily by election expectations. According to a survey conducted by the Don Anderson-led Market Research Services Limited for the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, both consumer and business confidence saw a modest increase. So these are matters that we have to get the experts to talk to us about and to explain even further. And so we're very pleased this morning to have financial commentator David Wan as our guest. Good morning and welcome once again, David. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Morning to you, Richie B, and your listeners.
All right, I'm glad to hear from you, especially as we talk about consumer and business confidence. First of all, David, how important is it that we pay attention to these areas of our existence?
You mean the survey itself?
The consumer and business confidence. How important is it for us as a country?
I think it's quite important. For example, the planners at the Statistical Institute and the Planning Institute, as well as the government as a whole, pays attention to these because it gives you cues as to what's going on and what policy measures you should be adjusting, etc., depending on what you see in the survey.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important.
What would you say are some of the potential long-term implications, of improved consumer and business confidence as we are experiencing it right now, a slight improvement?
Okay. Improved confidence by consumers and businesses means that more economic activity will take place. People will buy more, businesses will buy more for their customers, and general economic activity picks up, which can lead to improved employment situation or higher wages for employees, etc. Lots of good things come from increased economic activity.
Mm-hmm. When you look back at it, is it customary that you see an uptick sort of in the confidence levels out there leading into a general election?
Well, I must admit, my experience, just my own experience, is that confidence is somewhat shaky before elections, immediately before elections, because people are wondering, if X party wins, maybe things are not going to be so good, and that debate that constantly happens. You're not sure what the next 5 years is going to bring. So my experience has been, it's been a bit, confidence gets lower before an election, right before an election.
Okay. So it's maybe a little surprising to you that there's a slight uptick at this time. Yes.
It's surprising, but I can tell you, I believe part of the reasons would be the overall economy, the big broad indicators are looking very good. For example, just yesterday, the inflation rate for the past year came out, and it's at 3.8%. Now, some persons may argue that Statin is not measuring it properly, but it's been measuring it consistently this way for the last many years. So this is the best information we have, 3.8% for the year, point to point. So that's a good number, 3%.
Okay. Are there specific sectors or industries that are more likely to sort of benefit from increased consumer and business confidence?
Yes. Retailers of consumer goods are going to benefit, the furniture suppliers, the telephone companies, etc. But I can tell you, the last year and a half to 2 years, a lot of the economic activity we have seen has been driven by construction because of the new buildings being built, because of the highways being built, because of the call centers being built. That has provided a strong impetus for the growth we've seen. Now, last year, there were 2 quarters of negative growth. And it changed to a positive growth just in the last quarter just ended. So that those 2 quarters, it is believed, and I agree with it, it has been caused by the effects of the hurricane in western Jamaica. So we're in the recovery mode as a country from the effects of the hurricane last year in Western Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though we're experiencing then a slight uptick in consumer and business confidence, though, what would you say are some factors that could potentially undermine the current positive trend?
Okay. I think that's a very, very good question, Richie B. Inflation. Remember, the U.S. is starting to see increased inflation. And we do most of our importing from the U.S. And it is likely that we will be importing some of that inflation that has been sparked by Mr. Trump's tariffs. So that's one factor that I see could be a cloud on the horizon. The other factor is if the U.S. loses its position as the world's reserve currency, I think it could have bad impact on Jamaica. And let me explain why. The U.S. has a large debt burden, and it needs to finance its debts, at a modest interest rate. If the interest rate gets too high, then that's trouble for the U.S. Now, if they lose the status as reserve currency, the cost of borrowing is going to go up, and the government will be forced to make cutbacks in its operations. Businesses will have to cut back, etc., and our tourism would get hit. So that's another factor on the horizon. If the U.S. loses its position as the world's reserve currency. So those are a couple of things I think are dark clouds on the horizon that could impact us.
And so for businesses out there right now and business persons, many of them listening to us, how would you say they should try to sort of capitalize on the improvement that, even although slight, in terms of consumer and business confidence? What should they be doing at this time?
Okay. I think, the businesses that are looking 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, this would be a good time to try to retool your business, because if the consumer confidence is going up, it should be here for a while. Even if either way the election goes, it should be positive. So this is a good chance for retooling, because the financing that you need to have to do retooling, you should be able to service, any debt you take, because the confidence is there, and it should be there for a while until something dramatic changes. So that's one way I think they could, to make themselves more competitive.
Yes.
Because, we are constantly competing with the rest of the world, not just Jamaica. And you have to keep productive and competitive.
And what word would you have to the government, or even a future government, in terms of how we might want to or attempt to sustain or even further boost the consumer and business confidence in Jamaica?
Okay. I think a lot of things that have been done brought us to where we are. So the confidence is up a little bit, and we're out of that two quarters of negative growth last year. So the other things which I think can be done by the authorities, again, even though crime is down 40% in some cases, in murders, I think it's going to be something that you have to keep working at it, keep putting resources into it. Otherwise, it's just going to go right back. So they need to keep doing that. I think the level of interest rates have been a bit high because there was some inflation last year. So, and this is the Bank of Jamaica, not the government, so they're two separate entities. Once the economy seems like the inflation is well under control, it would be very helpful to the productive sector if interest rates could come down some more, because that would facilitate all kinds of consumer activity. It would help with businesses if they're trying to modernize, to get loans and do that. So, those are a couple of the things. Keep working at the crime, and when the economy shows that its inflation is down and staying down, maybe the Bank of Jamaica could ease up on the interest rates that they are now, because they're relatively high.
Yes, but David, I mean, we all know that even when the Bank of Jamaica makes moves in that direction, it is not always followed through by the commercial banking sector.
All right, that's a good point. 10, 15 years ago,
yes,
there was less competition in the banking space, right? Therefore, what you just said could have and did happen because there's less competition. Nowadays, there's more competition, not just from the banks, because they're not any new banks, but there are new near banks, companies that perform financial services that are not banks, but help to make the landscape more competitive. Therefore, it should force the big players into being more competitive. There's lots more competition. Mm-hmm. I mean, you might be aware of some of the names, but there are quite a few out there.
Yes,
the near banks, mm-hmm. which I think provide competition.
Yeah. You're so right. I want to thank you. We definitely got a lot from you this morning, David. Thank you so very much for coming on and helping to look at this matter as well as you did. Thanks and have a good day. We'll catch up again soon.
You too.